Hello, welcome back. It's Candice. This is Candice Wears Many Hats. Very random. That's okay. So I'm going to talk to you about something that's been really exciting. So I haven't uploaded in a little while. Not that dramatic. But yeah, it was my husband's birthday. And I have a really weird way of celebrating birthdays. Um, Love to find out if anyone else is this odd. So I take birthdays really seriously, especially other people's. I mean, when I was younger, we used to do like a week for everyone's birthday, and it was like so exciting. So, like my husband, he's quite reserved. He's lovely, but he's quite reserved. So I always make sure to go full out and traumatize him. Like my favorite kind of birthdays for him, who he gets into the same hobbies, he hangs out with the same people, is I like to have a couple of days doing multiple activities that he knows nothing about. That some are really good, some are really traumatizing. I just love that kind of destabilization. And let me just add in there, we're fine as a couple. So yeah, so this year I wanted to do something really great, and I'll tell you why this was such a challenge. So last year, we had our small baby. There was slightly less fun we could do. But we did 3 days over a weekend, like a long weekend for his birthday. And we always go up to his parents' house so we can leave the small child there, so we get to have fun. We went up to his parents' house. He was like, Candice, what are we doing for my birthday? I was like, say less. I'm not going to tell you anything. You know I've got it. So we had one day where I drove him to a lovely lake in his local area where he's grown up. It's just me, him, and the baby. We get there, and he's like, "Oh, this is nice little day. We're gonna eat some dinner." So we sit by the lake. We eat dinner. There's like water sports going on, and he's like, "What we doing after this?" I was like, "After this," and I go get out his wetsuit from my bag, crack on. So he'd never done like wakeboarding and like waterboarding. Well, waterboarding sounds awful. So yeah, so he had to just. I mean, he didn't get to finish his dinner. I was eating it instead. He had to go and do that. Now, the reason why, you know, I'd love to see if other couples are like this. You know, when you have a partner who has like a little element of like anxiety and like nothing, you can't do something nice for them and tell them about it because they obsess over the nitty gritty detail and they don't actually enjoy themselves. But going and having fun, they're absolutely fine. That's my husband, and I respect the hustle. And he does trust me, which is why we can do things like this. So he was like, "Oh, all right." He loves water. Got in, was doing the lesson. He hurt himself a lot. Had to swim back to shore a couple of times and get back on it. But it was an hour and a half of him having a great time and me holding the baby, saying, "Look, that's your dad, trying something new, having a great time." So it was amazing, and he loved that. We then went back to his parents' house. We had a little respite, and I said, "Oh, it's about 2, 3 o'clock about time." I said, "Oh, we're gonna hop in the car," and he was like, "Oh, where are we going?" And I was like, "Birmingham." We were staying in Derby, so it's not too far. But he was like, "All right." Uh, his parents were obviously going to look after his child, which is great. So we drive to Birmingham, and he's like, "What's going on?" So we pull up to like a industrial estate. He gets out the car and he's like, "Oh, there's a restaurant." We go in the restaurant, sit down, having a nice bit of dinner, relax. And I'm like, "Right, are you ready?" And he's like, For what?" Because he's getting stressed now, but like in a stress enjoyment kind of way, the best kind of way, right? The same feeling you get when you are going to escape room and you know you're going to be locked in a room. Like that's, if you just said that to someone, they'd be like, "That's mental." You'll be locked in the room. This excitement of what you're going to do. So we walk around the corner and it's the Bake Off. Ooh, I don't know if any of you've been to the Big Bake. It's like these like Bake Off competitions that you can like go to, and we were participating, and he was just like, "Oh gosh," and suddenly he was getting really stressed, and he was like, "Oh gosh, like I don't know what we're gonna bake," like, and he was throwing a bit of a paddy. Yeah, it happens sometimes. He was throwing a bit of a paddy, but he ended up having a phenomenal time, and we won. I will include the picture of our amazing chocolate muzz cake. Don't like chocolate, so that's fine for me. But it was amazing, and we had a great time, and we were being silly with it. And we came home and gave the child like this massive cake, and she was really excited too. So like that's the background to like the way I try to do birthdays because he works in project management, so for him, he obsesses over everything. Like he's very much like that. He's so in his head about things, so he can't actually have planned fun because he takes the planning more seriously than the fun. So it always falls on my responsibility. We're also the kind of couple that have done like the journey mystery holidays because there's times where I'm like, I can't be asked to do the planning, and we'll just go on a mystery holiday and like have the experience. And yes, it does feel sometimes like, oh gosh, like what's going to happen? What's going to go on? But actually, I like to transition that kind of like frustration, anxiety, like what's curiosity into surprise. Like that's how you transition that emotion across. So this year, I was like, what can I do for this man? Like, what can I do for him? So we went up to where his parents were staying, so where they live, up in Derby. Dropped the child off, and I said to him, "You've got an event this afternoon." Well, we came on the Wednesday, and then it was like Thursday was his birthday. So like I said, you got an event in the afternoon on the Thursday that I'm not going to. Your friends are going because it is the area he's growing up. I said your friends are going with you. They know everything. You'll be fine, but it's not going to be me. So this is the first time I've planned him an activity where I've not like been going to ensure he has fun. So I was really stressed about it. But basically, during the day, I'd organised for one of his friends to come over and go to Warhammer World. I think I've talked about it in another video. He's a massive Warhammer person. And then so it was him and a couple of friends meant to be going. One of them dropped out because he was feeling unwell on the day. So I was like, got no problems. I will come. I mean, I was meant to be meeting a friend in Nottingham, and there was going to be some festival outside. So you can imagine the clothes I wore were inappropriate to be going to such occasions. So I was dressed like a hooker at Warhammer World, which was an excellent experience. Exactly the place for it. Everyone was lovely to me. Yeah, it was great. And we ended up playing like a kill team, and it was great. So we had a good time. He was really happy that I was there. We painted some models, went around the museum. So lovely. That wasn't really a surprise because he knows I usually get him like some sort of Warhammer related gift. It was just a surprise that like I mean he didn't know which friends were meant to be going. So when I actually went, he was like, oh, it's a surprise, my wife's joined me on something I like. And I was like, good for you. Wasn't meant to be happening, but we'll accept that. In the afternoon, we went back to his parents, and I was like, right, your friends are picking you up for an event. Have fun. So what I'd booked him, and let me just say, it wasn't good. What I'd booked him was it had been discussed as a comedy true crime night. So in my mind, when I'd seen this a couple of months previously, I was like, is this Candle Girls? Is this Zodiac Girls? Like, what is this? So it was a bloke who's toured the UK and doing true crime related to that local area in a kind of like comedic way. And I was like, that's lovely. So my husband has done for like stag weekends with friends, like ghost tours and this type of stuff. He's completely unfazed by gruesome, torturous stories. Sounds like a mental illness to me, but that's fine. So he was meant to going with two of his best friends, both blokes, and I'd organised the food, where they were going to be. So they went. Now I was staying with his parents. He came back, and he was red in the face. He had been laughing the whole car journey back, and I was like, "Oh, it must have been hilarious." And he was like, "It was the worst thing I've ever been to in my life," and I was just like, "Fuck, what have I done here?" So basically, what happened was he'd gone, and it was meant to be in like a. So they'd upgraded the venue, upgraded, but it was actually in the basement of a pub, and he said the guy was dull. Dull. He said it was like the worst delivery he'd ever seen. And some of our friends had studied criminology, so like we're used to a dissertation about horrible death and stuff. He said it was like the Office of National Statistics doing a comedy night, but like actually significantly less fun. He said it was in a basement of a pub, and at the end of the stage where it was being presented was a mop cupboard, and people kept coming and like cleaning things up and stuff. And he said it was like a faulty towers experience, which was great for me because I was thinking that would be a great thing to do. So he didn't say he didn't have any fun, but he just said on the way home that it was like an experience he'd never planned to do himself, but like it was a great laugh with his friends in the end. And I think you know, as like a partner, like you spend so many years with someone, and it feels like you're competing with yourself to have the best, most perfect time. And realistically, all you're wanting to deliver to someone is like memorable experiences. So this one's definitely going to be memorable because it was awful. Um, but it was great in the sense that he had a great time out with his friends. They're going to make jokes about that for the rest of their life. Like, I mean, they're trying to convince one of their friends to do it as like a stag weekend because they were just like, it is so bad that it's actually funny. So great that he can find the humor of that type of thing. um but yeah, so it was really interesting for me because I'm constantly trying to compete and finding really good things. Like I use a website called Design My Night. uh, this is not promo for them. um but they basically do like quirky activities and this type of stuff. And I used to do a lot with my sister and my mum. So we went to a immersive Bridgerton experience, which is lovely. Got nice dresses. It was great. Obviously, girls only. And they have like other immersive activities, and they have like murder mystery tours and all that kind of like quirky activities that you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a birthday standard dinner and bowling or whatever, but when you've been with someone like I have for like 10 years and then you're going to be with them forever, it gets stale and old really quickly. And I don't tend to find like food an activity because I'm eating, I'm not talking. So yeah, so it's we're trying to find like loads and loads of different things. So that's been really, really rewarding. I'll tell you the ones that were banned. So I do always validate birthday things with my council, I like to refer to them. So James's closest friends. So I know James the best, that's quantifiable. But his friends know him as a different person than I do. So when he's by himself, I need to make sure he's gonna enjoy himself if he's like with his boys. So one of the things they did shut down, I wanted him to go to a improv comedy night in which he would be doing the improv comedy as well. They shut that down because of a mild level of autism, which could lead to deep psychological trauma. James is fine with drink, but like they just thought it would be too traumatizing for him. One of the ones that did get cancelled that I was trying to do, there was like a swim with sharks in Birmingham. That was going to be so good. Husband loves sharks because he was a geologist, so he just loves like evolution and animals and all this type of stuff. So I was like, oh, he's sick. He'll love. We'll just be walking around the aquarium, and they'll be like, get in, swim with the shark. It would have been so much fun, but it got cancelled, like some sort of shark illness. So I was like, it was very sad. But yeah, it's just one of these things that I think is really, really interesting. Is the longer you've been with someone, like I think you should try and find different creative ways to like engage them and challenge them. And sometimes that means not being there for their birthday because realistically they had their birthday before you met them, and when you die they'll have their birthday afterwards. So yeah, it's kind of been a learning journey for me that, you know, I'm not the center point of James's enjoyment for his birthday. Like, it is him and the things he finds entertaining. So it has been really good. Now, what's my plans in the kind of future? I'm not sure. How am I gonna up this? Like, I love seeing his emotional range. I like him to feel scared, like scared during some activity. Like, is going on, all the way to like pure elation, like that this is something completely brand new, or like the opposite of, you know, this has been really like thought provoking and this type of stuff, to this is something I do that's so comforting. You know, it's trying to swap and change things across the whole entire year. So I'd love to see if anyone else does horrible stuff to their partner, friends, parents on their birthdays. And if you do, I'm always looking for ideas. So please do send me some. And yeah, hopefully that's motivated other people to kind of work out what they want from their, you know, time together and like relationships and what makes people happy, because we're using this app at the minute about activities and fun, and we do this like scratch off pubs and scratch off restaurants and scratch off activities, you know. And like it'd be great to hear any recommendations for ways to try different things as a couple. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. This is a lot bit of a different one than last time because that one was a lot of researching, but there'll be another one of those soon, hopefully about moving house. But yeah, been great to speak to you. Catch you soon. Cheers.